A little over 7 years ago, I became a dad. A title that I definitely wasn't prepared for, but one that I wouldn't give up for the world. As most new young fathers are, you just kind of get thrown into the thick of things, thrown into the fire, and I was no exception to that. And as I look back, I remember wondering why no one prepared me for fatherhood. But now, 7 years and 3 kids later, I realize that there's literally nothing that could have prepared me for being a dad. It's as if I had to experience fatherhood for me to even appreciate the gravity that is being a dad. For me, the birth of my first kid coincided with a shift in reality that became a catastrophic ontological collapse where my entire worldview changed and I found myself questioning literally everything I was ever taught. After that collapse, I began the arduous process of rebuilding my reality, of rebuilding my ontology. And during that process, I found myself drawn to Stoicism and to Buddhism for whatever reason. And today I want to talk about Stoicism and fatherhood. If you're new to Stoicism, you might hear the word stoic and think, oh, it's just like no emotion. It's like poker face all the time. But that's just the word stoic. That's not the philosophy of Stoicism. And so I'm not an expert by any means, but I wanted to talk about 3 concepts today that I have found incredibly profound and helpful as a dad. Ryan Holiday is probably one of the most well-known modern day Stoics. And he said that if you boiled Stoicism down to one thing, he said it would be to understand what you can control and what you can't control. And that might not sound super profound at first, but just let that sink in. So anyways, that's the first concept. The second concept is a quote from Marcus Aurelius, who's probably the most famous Stoic of all time. He said that the obstacle is the way. In other words, in Stoic philosophy, the obstacle is not an obstacle. It's just part of the path. It's just part of life. So stop seeing things that stand in your way that are uncontrollable as obstacles. It's just part of the way. And the third concept I wanted to talk about is a quote from Epictetus, who was another Stoic philosopher. And he said, "It's not what happens to you that matters. It's how you react that matters." And so to put it in other words, something that I've talked about before on this channel, it's all about responding to what happens to you, not reacting. And so those 3 concepts, those 3 ideas, they're so applicable to fatherhood, in my opinion, because what is fatherhood if it's not chaos and obstacles and problem solving? If we as men can just pause, slow down a little bit. I think we spend too much of our lives just reacting madly, running around. And instead, if we can just pause and take that quote from Epictetus and realize that despite the chaos that's happening around us, we have the ability to stop and control the way we react. We can respond instead of react. Think about some of the greatest leaders that you know. Are they running around madly just reacting to everything around them? I would argue that most of the greatest leaders are slow, they're methodical, they're intentional. They take time to pause, even in a situation where it's rushed, where it's fast-paced and they have to make a quick decision. You will see the calmness of pause, even if you weren't able to see the pause. Next time when you're in a situation that is incredibly stressful and you see obstacles and you feel like life is chaos, pause and try and apply Marcus Aurelius' quote that obstacles are not obstacles. Obstacles are just the way. There is no path that does not have obstacles. So an obstacle is just part of the path. It's not an obstacle. And then differentiate between the things that you can control and that you can't control. And I speak from personal experience that this has had a monumental impact on my fatherhood. I am not saying that I am an exemplary dad. I have so much to improve on, but I am saying that this made a measurable impact, and I just wanted to share some of this with you guys. These three concepts, I think, epitomize two of the things that I've talked about recently on the channel, and that would be that if we can respond rather than react, we're going to be a whole lot better off in pretty much every scenario. And second, the narrative that we tell ourselves is our reality. And those are just two of the things that I find most true about life. In summary, if we can pause and respond rather than react, differentiate between what we can control and what we can't control, and see obstacles not as obstacles but just as part of the path. Unavoidable obstacles are not obstacles. It's just reality. It's just what life is. Anyway, Stoicism is definitely not a one-size-fits-all kind of philosophy. I don't think it's all true, and I don't think it works for everyone. But the only reason I share these things is because I found them impactful when navigating the difficulties and joys of fatherhood. And I hope that, someone else here watching this can also find something useful to think about. I don't know. I'm not an expert in any of this. I'm definitely not an expert in fatherhood, but I do think that I'm better than I used to be. And I attribute that to Stoicism in part. So hopefully this was interesting. If it was, like this video, subscribe to my channel. I'll catch you in the next video. Well, thank you for that.